Greetings. On March 12, 2020, life profoundly changed for my worshiping community, North Christian Church. On that date, our middle judicatory leaders strongly advised churches in our denomination not to hold in-person worship on Sunday, March 15th, due to the threat of a new, previously unknown virus called COVID-19. We reluctantly canceled worship for that Sunday out of an abundance of caution. By the following Sunday, we began online worship and moved all of our congregational programming to an online format. We assumed we would only be doing that for a few weeks. Little did we know that a full year later, we would still be meeting online only. All of our Columbus Interfaith communities have had similar experiences in the past year, In recent conversations, we all pinpointed the same date of March 12th, 2020, as the date that our world changed. What a difficult year it has been for all of us. We grieve in-person contact. We long for connection. We hope for an end to this long-term isolation. The ongoing safety of our most at-risk friends remains our priority. And so here we are, a full year later. Of course, it is not only our worshiping communities who have been impacted, our whole lives have been upended in so many ways. It is so hard. But the most difficult part is the loss of life. As of February 21st, we surpassed a staggering milestone, more than 500,000 deaths due to COVID-19 in the United States. Now, that figure is in our rearview mirror as the total increases exponentially each day. A number that large is difficult to wrap one's mind around. So it helps to kind of put it in context of something that we might be familiar with. So imagine, if you will, the entire population of Bartholomew County and all of the counties that touch it. Johnson County, Shelby County, Decatur County, Jennings, Jackson, and Brown counties, and Monroe County. All of those counties. The larger cities, the smaller towns, and the rural folks as well. Every inhabitant, every resident of all of those counties is 540,457 people. Imagine all of them wiped out, all of them gone. It's hard to consider. It's hard to think about. But these deaths in the United States are more than just statistics. They represent people, family members, friends, co-workers, colleagues. Each life impacts a web of various connections, and ultimately we are all connected. We share this experience. We share this grief. We share this pain. And so tonight we gather with our interfaith friends to pray, offer thanks, and lament. We gather to sing, meditate, and act. Peace be with you.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
Reverend Nick Cable asked me to address the public health aspect of this pandemic, so here I am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. For over a year now, COVID has wreaked havoc on the nation and the world. 1 year after first recorded US death from COVID-19, we grieve with the millions of people whose families and lives have been taken apart by this pandemic. As of today, over 500,000 people in the United States have lost their lives from this disease. It is more about each life we lost than a statistic. Fortunately, we started seeing a sharp drop in new COVID positives. Now we have more people vaccinated against the virus around the world than infected with it. That is a good sign. We still need to be cautiously optimistic though. To change this pandemic direction, we must not let our guard down. As always, wear a mask, practice physical distancing, wash your hands, get your vaccination as soon as it is available to you. We are closer to healing and returning to normalcy than we were even a month ago. But to continue the journey in the right direction, we will need hope and a commitment from everyone to do their part. As we mark 1 year, my health system sent us a thought-provoking question in honor of the anniversary of first COVID death in Indiana. What gives you hope? The top answers we received were faith, family, and friends, and so on. I agree with all of them. Besides, what gives me hope is science. We came a long way in managing COVID-19, including antivirals, monoclonal antibody therapy, and so on. The vaccination, the first COVID vaccine was given on December 14th, 2020. However, many remain reluctant and uncertain about the vaccine. Some are concerned about its long-term effects. I have personally had conversations with friends and family members about whether they would receive the vaccine. And there is a clear split. A few are like, yes, we'll do it. And some are like, there is no way. I think it starts with leading by example. I received the vaccine back in December. Making people aware that their healthcare provider, their friend, or a person they trust has gotten the vaccine boosts their confidence. Many people say, well, I'm young, I may not have a serious case of this infection. I always think about 3 reasons why somebody should be vaccinated. 1, for their own personal health. If you don't care about that, you should care about your family's health. You may have a loved one, a parent, a grandparent, a sibling with chronic illness that you could expose them to the virus. Then there is public health commitment. I think we have a responsibility to our communities to get the vaccine to help stop the spread of this illness. Think those 3 things when you are making a decision about the vaccine: personal health, family health, and public health. The percentage of people who need to be immune in order to achieve herd immunity varies with each disease. I will give you a successful example, that is polio vaccine. Polio requires 80% of population to be vaccinated to get herd immunity. The remaining 20% will be protected by the fact that polio will not spread among those who are vaccinated. We're not quite sure about COVID-19, but scientists estimate that a vaccination of 70% is needed for herd immunity. Believe in science. We did this before, we can do it again. In addition to precautions and vaccinations, I would like to address another important issue, that is preventive care. Don't let your preventive care become the victim of COVID-19 pandemic. Both emergency and scheduled medical treatments have seen an unfortunate decrease over the past year. Listening to your body and its recurring health needs is important and can even prove to be life-saving. Following through on your checkups, addressing health issues is always important. The healthier you are, the better you can fight the virus. Keep yourself at the lowest risk possible. Set up virtual appointment with your physician. Remember your routine cancer screenings, blood works, dental exams. Always ask your doctor if you can safely postpone the care. And at all times, stay distanced, wash your hands, avoid large gatherings, and wear a mask.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechuna Al Kanfei HaShechina Im Kedoshim Utorim Kezohar Harakia Mazhiri Nishmot Yakirenu Shachalnu Lolamam Bal Harachamim Yastireim Beseter Knafav Leolamim B'tzror HaChaim Et Nishmatam Adonai Hu Nachalatam Vayanuchu V'Shalom Al Mishkavam V'Nomar Amen.
Greetings. My name is Cal Brand. I am a semi-retired Presbyterian minister affiliated with First Presbyterian Church here in Columbus. And I volunteered to shine a light on some of the kindness and help I experienced as a COVID patient. This was a more difficult assignment than I had imagined. And now I realize and accept that it was a difficult and scary time, a time I wasn't eager to revisit. At the same time, while I can't name everything I am thankful for, I am thankful to be able to give thanks for the many acts of kindness and good care I received. I thought I was being very careful, following the rules, and nonetheless, just before Thanksgiving, I contracted the virus and spent the first 5 days of December in the hospital. Dark as that time was, I was blessed with countless acts of kindness and care, and those I would like to share. I was unprepared for the effect the virus can have on mental function and perception. On our way to get tested safely in the parking lot, I turned right into the concrete base of a light post. I am thankful we only suffered minimal injury. The car, unfortunately, was totaled. We walked our way up to the old penny store where testing was going on. I am thankful we found lots of helpers there. Medical folk checked us out. A police officer spoke with us and tagged the car so it would not be towed away. And there were just a lot of kindness that came our way that night. A nurse from Greenwood, I believe, who was there to help out with the testing, was going off duty. Hearing us discuss how we would get home, I am thankful she volunteered to take us home, which she did. I'm thankful that my wife, Donna, kept an eye on me and shared her observations with Lisa, our psychiatrist daughter out in Denver. Lisa promptly jumped on an airplane and flew to Indiana. And I am thankful that the day after her arrival, she could tell I was in trouble and took me to the hospital. I am thankful for the good care of the hospital emergency room staff and the COVID unit staff that they provided for me during the 5 nights that I was a patient there. I'm thankful for the way Donna and Lisa looked after me as needed as I continued my recovery at home. I am thankful for our church family who brought meals for several suppers. I'm thankful for our family, our church friends, my ministry colleagues, and other friends who checked up on us and sent get well cards and emails of support, which really lifted my spirits. I'm thankful for a neighbor who came over to jumpstart our remaining car so Lisa could get prescriptions for me. I'm thankful for friends from church who helped with snow removal. I'm thankful that our daughter Lisa, when the time came, made it safely home to Colorado. I am thankful that our insurance got the wreck removed from the parking lot and sent us a check for its value so it could be replaced. I am thankful that our car dealership got me fixed up with the replacement without ever having to leave the house. I also feel thankful for all the folks who saw to building and equipping our hospital years ago, all the folk who trained and educated our medical staff, all the folk in laboratories evaluating tests and producing medications and vaccines, and the folk in pharmacies seeing to it that my prescriptions were correctly filled, and yours too. I'm thankful for a pretty full recovery and for a full return to pandemic life, even well enough to offer this Thanksgiving testimony. Amen.
We grieve the many thousands that we can't understand. We cannot grasp how many have died throughout this land. We cannot see their faces or hear the stories told of all the ways they blessed us, the young ones and the old. Oh God, we grieve the struggle of those who died alone, so far from friends and neighbors, from all they'd ever known. We grieve for precious people who could not say goodbye. We weep for those now mourning who sit alone and cry. Oh God, we grieve for millions who are now unemployed, who cannot feed their families, whose hope has been destroyed. We grieve that needed workers must worry for their health, while some with lives of privilege stay home and build their wealth. O God of love and mercy, we cry to you, how long? In troubled times remind us your love is ever strong. Now as we grieve the suffering, God show us how to be a healing, loving presence in each community.
It's been a year since we as a community have been impacted by this pandemic. And in that year, more than 500,000 people in the United States have died because of COVID-19. It's been a year since we've been able to do the things we took for granted, to worship together, to be together with friends and family. It's been a year. And I think this time calls for us to meditate on what is the meaning of community for us. How do we define community? And how can we go forward from this time of grief into a new way of being a community, a people of God, a spiritual people? I wonder what some of the lessons have been that you have learned this year. I wonder what you think about what it means to be a community or what it means to be family. Perhaps you have reflected on the positives of being in isolation with family, that you were able to spend more time with your children or with your parents or with your grandparents. Or perhaps you couldn't. Perhaps you couldn't at all see them because they were in a different state or in a nursing facility. Or perhaps you live alone. And for you, this isolation has been just an unbearable burden. What does it mean to be in community when we are isolated like this? Or when we are suspicious about the science that so clearly showed that we had a disease we had to battle? I wonder if in this time of pandemic, you have thought of your family in a new way, of what it is that brings you together. It is said that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I wonder if your heart grew fonder of those whom you couldn't see, and you were desperate to hold their hand maybe when they were in the hospital, but you couldn't. I wonder if you have thought about what it means to be community, what it means to be a people in this small town in Indiana where we are trying to work for each other and with each other to stay safe, to keep each other safe. I wonder if you've thought about what community means when we have people in the community who are houseless and hungry and are looking for a place to be warm in this winter time. And how can we support them in this time of pandemic? I wonder if you've thought about those people of color who might have been impacted more deeply by this disease. Maybe because they didn't have the kind of health care that other people may have had. Maybe because they had underlying conditions. What does it mean as a community to care for one another when there are these health disparities? I wonder if you have thought about how Columbus will feel to you after this is behind us. There is no such thing as going back to normal. There is no normal. We are seeing ourselves in a new light. And I wonder how you will see that in the time to come. Beloved, I invite you to think about what it means to be a community that seeks to be supportive of one another, even in this time of difficulty, a community which tries to be fair and just to all. I hope that your definition of community has grown. I hope your definition of family has grown. I hope your patience with one another can grow. I hope your sense of justice gets strengthened. I hope that we as a community will be able to see each other in the eye and tell each other how much we've missed each other, and together build a stronger, deeper community, a community that really looks out for one another and really makes sure to pay attention to those who have been sidelined or at the margins. May the memory of those who have died in this time, here in Columbus and beyond, be part of what propels us to define and redefine community in more just and equitable and caring ways.
It's been a long year, and in many ways, we're tired. We've been fighting for the lives of our families, friends, and neighbors. We've seen the best and worst of America through it all. We've only begun to grieve our losses. Though we are beginning to see the light at the end of this long tunnel as vaccines are distributed, we continue to be aware of the elevated rates of disease and death among communities of color. We have begun to hear reports of efforts to vaccinate marginalized communities upended by the powerful and connected. In the midst of these circumstances, we must continue to resist white supremacy in the ways it endangers lives through violence as well as disease. I was inspired by this prayer by writer Laura Jean Truman from the newly published book, A Rhythm of Prayer. In the places in the prayer where she cries out to God and Jesus, I invite you to direct your thoughts to your understanding of the divine. God, we are so tired. We want to do justice, but the work feels endless, and the results look so small in our exhausted hands. We want to love mercy, but our enemies are relentless, and it feels like foolishness to prioritize gentleness in this unbelievably cruel world. We want to walk humbly, but self-promotion is seductive, and we are afraid if we don't look after ourselves, no one else will. We want to be kind, but our anger feels insatiable. Jesus, in this never-ending wilderness, come to us and grant us peace. Grant us courage to keep showing up to impossible battles, trusting that our commitment to faithfulness and not our obsession with results that will bring in your shalom. Grant us the ability to risk loving our difficult and complicated neighbor, rejecting the lie that some people are made more in the image of God than others. Grant us the humility of a decentered but beloved self. As we continue to take the single step that is in front of us, Jesus, keep us from becoming what we are called to transform. Protect us from using the empire's violence in our words, in our theology, in our activism, in our politics, for your kingdom of peace. Keep our anger from becoming meanness. Keep our sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep our hearts soft enough so that they keep breaking. Keep our outrage turned toward justice and not cruelty. Remind us that all of this, every bit of this, is for love. And keep us fiercely kind. Amen.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us in our service of remembrance, remembering the year that we've had, giving thanks for all those who have helped to make a difference in our community, and honoring the lives of those who we have lost. I close us down this evening with a benediction adapted from the Church of England. May we not be a people of fear, but a people of courage. May we not be a people who protect our own safety, but a people who protect our neighbor's safety. May we not be a people of greed, but a people of generosity. May we be your people, loving Creator, people who are giving and loving wherever we are and wherever you call us to be. Go in peace. Amen.
What the land so